Shabbat Shalom, Yashala, Shabbat Shalom. Now, whatever, Yashala, coming out with another episode of bringing out those holy precepts on this holy Shabbat. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to Abanawa Yahweh, Bahashem, Hawashai, Bahashem, Rikar, Kadash, true Father, delivering Savior in names in ancient Paleo Hebrew, Lashawan, and Quadash. Hope everybody's the Most High blessed. Again, coming out with another Sabbath lesson. I'm going to title this sit down. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Okay, we're going to go cover a little bit of history for all you unlearned Israelites out there that believe and trust in this demonic system. Okay, as you see, the history of the American police officer, the history of the American Babylonian police. Okay, and through the spirit of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, we're going to bring out the history and bring out biblically what the Bible says about the so-called police. Okay, so let's get into it first and foremost. Let's get a little bit of history. Okay. As you see, slave patrol. I'm not going to read this whole article from Wikipedia. I'm just going to read something, touch on certain subjects, and you can read it for yourself and then bring it out biblically. Okay, but let's get into it. Slave patrol, and it reads, as known as patrollers, paddy rollers, and paddy rollers, were organized group of armed men who monitored and enforced discipline upon slaves in the antebellum U.S. southern states. The slave patrol's function was to police slaves, especially those who escaped or were viewed as defiant. They also formed river patrols to prevent escape by boats. Okay? Look at this next paragraph. Policing the movements of black people. Slave patrols were explicit in their design to empower the white population. They were established in South Carolina in the year 1704, and the idea spread throughout the colonies before their use ended following the Civil War. Okay, the formation of slave patrols. Slave patrols first began in South Carolina, 1704, and spread throughout the 13 colonies, lasting well beyond the American Revolution. As colonizers enslaved more Africans, and the populations of enslaved people in South Carolina grew, especially with the invention of the cotton gin, so did the colonizers' fear of slave uprisings. They developed slave patrols when other means of slave control failed to quell enslaved people's resistance. Okay? Again, I'm just skim through this. Legislators introduced laws that enlisted white people in the regulation of enslaved people activities and movements. Black people were subjected to questioning, searches, and other harassments. Slaves who were encountered without passes from their white masters were expected to return to their owners, as stated in the slave code. If caught by patrols and returned to their masters, punishment included whipping and other physical violence, and the threat of being placed on the auction block and sold away from their families, and options for masters who no longer wanted to deal with non-compliant slaves. Okay? Just to give you a little bit of history, because you got to tie in history with the Bible. Okay? The Father said, remember the days of old. Okay? Slave owners feared gatherings held by enslaved people would allow them to trade or steal goods, and had the potential of organizing a revolt or rebellion. South Carolina, Virginia selected slave patrols from state militias. State militia groups were also organized from among the cadets of the Southern military academies. Okay, it's just giving you a little history. Okay, but the main topic that I wanted to cover, in this second paragraph, policing the movement of black people. Slave patrols were explicit in their design to empower the white population. Okay, and right here, the bottom paragraph, black people were subject to questioning, searches, and other harassments. Okay, the whole thing is the designing and the history, the origin of Babylon slave patrols and why they were designed for oppression. Okay, point blank period. Point blank period, for oppression. You know. Now let's get it into the Sabbath lesson. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Psalms, and I'm going to be reading the 10th chapter. Okay, Psalm chapter 10, verse 1 reads, Why standest thou far off, O Yahweh? Why hidest thou thyself in the times of trouble? Why standest thou afar off, O Yahweh? Why hidest thyself in the times of trouble? Verse 2, the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Okay, the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. And when you start talking about the Babylonian slave patrols to modern day times, what are some of these devices? Roadside checks, license checks, seatbelt checks, DUI checkpoints. You see what I'm saying? Though we're not ignorant to Satan's devices. Salakia. Let me see if I can bring out a precept. Well, we'll get into the bringing out the precepts. But, okay, the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken into the devices that they have imagined. Verse 3, Psalms 10 and verse 3. For the wicked boasteth in his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetousness whom Yahweh aborteth. Okay, the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous whom Yahweh abhorreth. Verse 4, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. And the whole premise of this lesson, for you Israelites to understand that these slave patrols, they're not our friends. They're not. Cursed be the man that trusteth in man. Okay? That point blank period. That's the whole premise of this whole lesson. Okay? We're not here. We're supposed to trust in the Most High God, Yahweh. Okay? Verse 5, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for his enemies, which his enemies will be us, he puffs at them. Okay? He says in his heart, I shall not be moved. I shall not be in adversity. Okay? And the title of this sit down, verse 7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Okay? His mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Okay, that's why this whole slave patrols was set up since the year 1704 in South Carolina, which we covered. Okay, to monitor the movements, they say, of the African slave, but they really mean the Israelites, because we're the only ones that were put on slave ships. Okay, but it's just to show you their origin and why they designed, and this to this day. That's why they're militarizing Babylon's police department, throughout the four corners of the world. Okay, that's why they militarize. For the uprising that's coming, the lawlessness, the martial law that you read in the in the Apocrypha. Okay? That's exactly what it is. The origin of Babylon's slave patrols. Okay? Paddy wagons. Okay? Now I'm going to go into, let's cover some more stuff about the Babylonian laws, just to show you. Okay? As you see on the screen. Frazier versus Cupp, 1969. Okay, this is the Supreme Court ruling. Frazier, case law Frazier versus Cupp, 1969. The Supreme Court made it lawful for the police to present false evidence. Okay? Read it again. You can Google all this. That's why the Bible said, blessed is he that readeth. Okay, what I'm saying? All this, everybody got smartphones. But I want to put it in this lesson to let the Israelites have eyes and ears to see and hear. These slave patrols are not, they're our enemy. And we're going to get into what the Messiah says. Okay, that's the whole premise. We're going to find out biblically what the Messiah says. Okay, like my last lesson, believe in him as the scriptures has said. Okay, Frazier versus Cupp, 1969. The Supreme Court made it lawful for the police to present false evidence. That's why we don't have a chance out here. Okay, point blank period. There you go, the case law right here. Frazier versus Cupp. Salakia. It's the devil trying to stop this lesson, but we're just going to keep it moving. Okay, 1969 was a U.S. Supreme Court case that affirmed the legality of deceptive interrogation tactics by police. Okay, they are allowed to lie, use deceit, okay, and fraud. Okay, so what chance do we have? It's the whole purpose of this whole lesson. Let's go into the blue letter. As you see on top of the screen, Psalms 10 verse 7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Let's look up that word fraud. Fraud is Hebrew word 8496. Okay, the pronunciation.
Strong's H, 8496. Toch. And
Toch.
Second entry. Toch.
Okay, Hebrew word 8496, biblical definition, usage, injury, oppression, oppressor, fraud, deceit, deceitful. Okay, oppression, oppressor. Okay, his mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Okay, Babylon's law enforcement are just the lower level of the so-called demonic systems, oppression system against us, starting from their streets and then going into their military. Okay, which they boast that they have the biggest and the most powerful military on earth. Okay, but still Babylon is fallen and to be destroyed. Point blank period. Let's get back to the lesson. Okay, so fraud, oppression, oppressor. Psalms 10 and verse 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. You see that? He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Okay? Pay special attention. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set on the poor. Verse 9. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draw him into his net. Okay? And I covered the net. What are some of those snares? Some of those nets that these demons are using. Like I say, these roadside seatbelt checks where they could stop everybody. You see what I'm saying? All the DUI checks, the border entry checks. I mean, they're supposed to be free. But these are just snares. We're not ignorant to Satan's devices. Okay? He lieth and waits in secret as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. I want to go back to verse 8 for a second and give you a visual. Okay? He sitteth in the lurking places of the village. Let's get it. There you go. A couple of pictures. And you can see it throughout Babylon and throughout the world, hiding behind trees, hiding behind signs. I mean, you know, come on. Anybody that's done any traveling on any of the roadways here, I don't care what county, I don't care what state, I don't care what city, I don't care. They're all out there. Okay? Let's get it. Let's put it back biblically. Okay? Psalms 10 and 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Okay? I just want to give everybody a visual. Who the Bible is referring to. Okay? They're all out there in the trees and the bushes. I mean, these are just snares of the devil. That's all it is. Okay? Hope everybody understands. That's why I give you a visual. Sitting in listen, the Coca-Cola truck, Roto-Rooter truck, the garbage truck, they're not sitting in the villages lurking, okay? Privily on the poor. You know what I'm saying? It's these slave patrols that the Bible is bringing out. Okay? Point blank period. Verse 10, he crouches and humbled himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones. Verse 11, he says, he has said in his heart, the Most High hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. You see that? All this stuff. But now they come up and they can't be trusted because they speak with fraud and deceit. That they have to put body cams on them. On these demons out here, okay? And still they shut them off. So they can do what they want to do, privily against the poor. Okay? He sitteth in the lurking places of the village, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Okay? Let me bring out one precept. Zechariah 11 and verse 5, and it reads, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. From Trayvon Martin, Sandra Blam, and you name it. Okay? How many of these demons are not guilty? Now when all the cameras been, all this, like I brought out all the instances of the cameras, now everybody's being exposed, these demon cops. Okay? And in no way I'm saying anything to do about police. You know, the Bible says vengeance is of the Most High. Okay, we're supposed to be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. Let's get it straight. Okay, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh. For I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Okay? Who possesses slay them and hold themselves not guilty? And them that sell them, okay? That's the whole purpose of these slave patrols. Okay? I want to just bring it out and let all the Israelites that got eyes and ears to see and hear. Let's get back to the Psalms. Verse 12. Arise, O Yahweh. O Most High, lift up thy hands, forget not the humble. Wherefore doeth the wicked content the Most High? He has said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Verse 14, thou hast seen it, and thou beholdest mischief and spite, to require it at thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Verse 15, break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. Yahweh is king forever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Okay, verse 17, Yahweh, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart and will cause thine ear to hear. Verse 18, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. Okay, point blank, period. The whole purpose of this, breaking it down, let's get some precepts on this holy Shabbat. Okay, Romans 15:4 reads, for whatsoever things were written in foretime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Okay, so everything that's written for is for our learning. Okay, and let's get another precept. Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 15. That which has been is now, and that which is Salakia, and that which is to be has already been, and the Most High requireth that which is past. Okay, it's for our learning, our edification. Okay, another precept, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Okay, this has been since the beginning. Okay, the ancient times. Now let's get some precepts about the Messiah. Okay, let's see what the Messiah says, the King of Kings, who this word they call Jesus the Christ, but we know he's a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah. Okay, Matthew 5 and 25, red letters, the king speaking, says here, agree with thine adversary quickly. Agree with thy adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Okay, who we know the ones that have eyes to hear and hear and see, we see them like what the Messiah is saying. Agree with these devils, okay? Because they're the ones that are going to take you to the judge, and then the judge is going to take you to the officer, which is the correctional officer, and thou going to be cast into prisons. Okay, agree with thy adversary quickly. Okay, point blank, period. Let's find out. And I covered this. The Messiah says, red letters, Matthew 10 and verse 16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Okay? Believe in him as the scriptures say. Okay? Believe in him as the scriptures say. Let's get a verse in Matthew 26 and 50. And it reads, Yahushua said unto him, friends, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Yahushua and took him. Okay? This is before his persecution. Matthew 26 and 51. And behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Okay, let's see what the king said. For all you Israelites that are arming up, to fight this carnal war, okay, because it's a spiritual war, it's not carnal. Matthew 26 and 52. Then said Yahushua unto him, put up against thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Let me read it again. Then said Yahushua unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Okay? And then he let him know, right here in verse 53, Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legion of angels? You see that? He told Peter, which was Simon Peter, that cut off the ear of the Roman soldier. Okay, think now that I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels. Vengeance is of the Most High. Okay, point blank, period. That's why I just want to wake everybody up to these slave patrols, because we're going to go into deeper Jacob's trouble. Okay, they're not our friends. The Messiah called them adversaries. Okay, let's get another precept. Let's see if I got it queued up here. So I like you. Well, I'm going to bring this up anyway. Revelation 12 and 17. And it reads, The dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, so the demonic system made war with our people. Point blank, period. It's the whole premise of this lesson. Let me get a precept here. I don't think I have it queued up. But going to Book of Revelations, chapter 3. Salakia. Just through the Spirit, I want to bring this out. Salakia, Yashala, chapter 2. Let's see what the Messiah calls them. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10, and it reads, Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. That's a beautiful precept. Revelations 2 and verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Again, who's the casting ones into prison? There you go. The history of the Babylonian American police. Okay? Hope this is edifying Yashala on the Shabbat. They are adversaries, okay? But the Messiah says, agree with them quickly. You can't win, okay? They have permission, they legally to lie, okay? Point blank, period. To lie. So there you go. I just wanted to edify this on this holy Shabbat, okay? I hope everybody stay Most High blessed in Jacob's times, and cling to the Most High. Trust in the Father with all your heart and your soul. With that, I say Shalom.